All right, welcome back to the Throttle Up podcast. We've got Colby back on this week. Last week we kind of had to cut things a little bit short, but this week, thankfully, we are gonna recap some of the stuff that we talked about last week, but also start on like the ARCA stuff that we're both passionate about, and then also go into the awesome weekend at Daytona. It felt like the
Oh yeah.
very hyped weekend, so that was pretty awesome. But yeah, thanks for coming back on, Colby.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, I love doing stuff like this, and it's good to be back on not only once but twice. So thank you.
Absolutely. So we're going to kind of start with the ARCA racing before we go
Yeah.
into Daytona. And first, we obviously have a connection with Club.
hmm
I've spotted for Club before, and you've raced for Club. So it's kind of awesome that over the off season, towards the end of last year, they got a new car up and running with a new Ilmor motor. Obviously, Alex has his car with the Ilmor motor, but now they got a new car with an Ilmor motor. And as they've talked to me about, they've got some more options. So a driver can approach them about racing an Elmore car, and they can also approach them about racing a legacy car. So that's pretty awesome, and also gives the drivers a lot of options. So, what's your kind of thoughts on that? And it's pretty awesome that he's doing that.
Yeah, no, I saw that last year, and it's nice. And there also comes a lot of trouble with these new cars. And Alex, admitted to me it was hard to get a handle on the car, but they finally were able to, find the right, shock package, adjustment package with the car. And you're right with the different motors. It just gives these teams more of an option, because if you want an entry level, first level ARCA race, you can run an open motor. That's what I did. When I ran out there, I was an open motor car, but the driver also has to know, going into that, you're more than likely going to be just riding around. But, for a team like this, you can also now run an Ilmore where you can actually be, a little bit more competitive, run with the Maples team, the Andy Hillenbergs, and that's a good way of being able to promote your team. Like, hey, we're not just going to be out there, you riding around. You're actually going to be able to be competitive because I'm not afraid to admit when I did my one start, I was just riding around, and I knew that, and I was okay with that. It was a perfect entry level ARCA ride for me. But for some of these guys who maybe want a little bit more, now they can go to that exact same team, and they have different tiers and different levels. And like I said, now they'll be able to get a few races on this car. They had a few months, obviously, in the offseason to freshen everything up, and this is probably the best we've ever seen this team. And are they perfect by any means? No. Are they going to go out there and win races? No. But can they actually go out there now and compete, like I said, with the Maples, the Hillenbergs, and be able to actually say, like, hey, you can come race for us. We are reliable. We can actually be competitive with these guys. And I like that. I like that. A lot of those teams can get a lot of flack of why are they out there? But it's a perfect entry level ARCA team. And I will tell that to any young racer. I know you might not win, but it's a perfect entry level car. It'll get you into the series. It'll get you on track. It'll get you a feel for these cars. And that's the most important thing is that experience. And, not only the cars, they actually got themselves a transporter, which I also like. And the transporter has a significant story to it. It's an old Jimmy Means racing hauler. And it was actually the hauler that had a fire
Hmm.
back in 2015. And I always thought that thing was scrapped. I thought it was done. Turns out it was sitting behind JD Motorsports for years. Joey Gay somehow got his hands on it, and then Alex Clubb got his hands on it. So I love the story of these haulers. We talk about chassis and cars, but I love how haulers are always passed down from owner to owner to owner, and now Alex Clubb has it. So you look at just how much more official this team looks. A transporter, a little bit nicer equipment, and I'm really excited to see where it could take Alex this year.
Yeah, I think it's really good that they got more options for drivers. Definitely that a driver can come in and they can kind of do a race where you say right around and kind of just
Yeah,
get that
that,
experience. But they
yeah,
can
and there's
also
nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And they can also go for a team that's got a little bit more they want to compete. They can compete with the other
hmm
drivers, and the fact they have multiple cars to do that is really awesome. So that's pretty cool. And also Jeff McConey is going to do about 15 races in that car. What do you think about that? Jeff McConey coming back, really kind of helping that team in terms of like social media, but also helping that team get a more solidified driver to kind of build a program off of.
And I think that's the main beneficial thing, whether, no matter what one's opinion has on said driver, any one driver that can be at a team for a long period or organization. And and Jeff, I think it's a good opportunity for him because it's like what I just said, a good entry level team. Like, Jeff knows he's not going to win, but Jeff knows this is a team that he can improve with. He can improve his racecraft. He can get out there and look at where he was last year and improve on that. Look at where he was at the start of this year and improve on that. And that really helps with some of these drivers because like me, only coming in once, twice, if more than that, it's hard to build off of something like that. It's hard to make, notes with the crew chief or notes with the team owners. Like, what do you like? You just kind of have to, a person like me, you just throw in there and go. Whereas Jeff, you're in there every week or mostly every week. You're like, oh, this is what Jeff likes. This is what Jeff likes. This is what Jeff likes. And you can build on that and turn it into better performance on track.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then also with new drivers, you can say like, well, hey, Jeff had this problem a few races ago. Let's go ahead and see if we can
Yep.
help that. And that's and also Alex, while he's a great driver, he's not going to be able to notice everything about his cars.
Right.
So having
Right.
a driver consistently in there and kind of being like, hey, this kind of worked this way, this kind of worked. I think having them bounce ideas off each other will be really awesome as well this year.
Yeah.
So with that, one of the teams that was competitive or really competitive was Rev Racing. Unfortunately, they went under this last year in terms of like just shutting down operations, kind of selling off everything. Um, you kind of have a little bit more insight than what I know about the whole deal there. What were your thoughts on that, and what kind of happened there?
Yeah, it's just kind of a sad strain of affairs. I mean, I can imagine that, Max Siegel, he's been around this, sport for so many years. I think people don't quite realize just how long Max Siegel has been around. It goes way farther than the Rev Racing operations. And, we know that they've been involved in some legal issues over the last few years with, Kyle Busch. That was public a few years ago. And it's just sometimes you get burnt out. And, obviously that's not the entire story, but it just sucks losing a competitive team. And, not only and not them, but a Chevrolet operation, because ARCA's manufacturer strain, it doesn't have a whole lot, as we know. So to lose a top Chevrolet organization, it was a big loss. But it is what it is. There's racing teams, they come and go. But when you lose a big team like that, and we'll talk about Venturini in a little bit, just losing that name recognition where now we don't have that Rev Racing banner. And granted, they didn't have the longest history in ARCA. They were more of the K&N series, but you know what Rev Racing is. The name Max Siegel, you have a feeling of what that name is, and now it's gone. But that's sadly racing, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and it also sucks because that was like a team that could compete against the Gibbs, the
Yeah,
Nitros.
yeah,
So now we have one less team of that.
hmm
But obviously Maples picked up a few of their cars.
yeah.
Um,
Most of their stuff. Oh yeah,
yes, so they expanded to a four-car operation, but
hmm
obviously Maples Motorsports are still developing. So
yeah.
they've got some room to grow, and um, they've got some time that they need to kind of build up their program. So also Maple's going to four cars. Obviously, that's a big story as well. We got Vargas as one of like their staple drivers in the 91. We got
Great choice.
Michael. Yep. We got Michael and the 99. And he'll kind of be the number one driver there, kind of just because he's a team owner there. And then we also do have Tony Constantino.
Cosentino.
Cosentino. So Cosentino, he will be racing full time as well for them, but unfortunately didn't make the race at Daytona. And then also one more car as well. What do you think the future holds for Maples in terms of like performance? What do you kind of expect out of them? And then, yeah, well, what's your kind of expectations for Maples?
I really like where this team is going. They did receive some criticism last year. Some of it was warranted, some of it wasn't. But Michael, I wonder if he knew that. So he moved the team from his home base in Oklahoma down to Charlotte. He hired a lot more technical people. He actually hired a technical director, hired a
Mhm.
lot more personnel. Some good fast track personnel went over there. He got a lot of new equipment from Rev Racing. Actually got the haulers from Red Racing too. So I mean, he's stepped it up, financially, and I really think he's got a great driver in Vargas who's been around this sport a few years now, who can really give some feedback. Costantino, he's still kind of an up and comer. He's been around a few years, but he's not extremely well known. I think he's going to have a breakout year. And then you got Michael himself. Now that he's been around, for 2 years now, I think he will have probably his best year with the equipment upgrade. And then you got the 19 car, and I'm sure that'll probably be as what we call the customer car. But still, that's it. And like I said, same with Alex, a perfect entry level car. It's not a winning car, but I would call that a perfect mid pack ride. You want that next step from Alex for a rookie driver. That's the Maples team. That's not to throw shade at Alex. I'm sure he would probably agree with you. It's just when you're stepping up from these ARCA teams, that's a good ride right there.
Oh
And
yeah.
unfortunately, they got caught out by Daytona. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I really, really like where this team is heading. Definitely leagues above where they were last year, and I'm very proud of Michael for making the investment. I mean, we know he's a very rich man. He didn't have to make the investment if he didn't want to. He could,
No.
stayed with what he was doing and kept rolling with that. But he's like, we want to make the team better, and I'm proud he did it.
Absolutely. And it's great to have another kind of option there as well.
Hmm.
They had a second option last year, but unfortunately it just didn't seem like the team was clicking. It was for the
It
99
wasn't.
car,
No.
it seemed like they kind of got a little bit of a stride there, but there would be some weeks that you're just like, okay, what's going on here? So the fact that
Hmm.
he's really putting an investment in, like, hey, I want to make this a good organization. He doesn't want to just, hey, I want to go and spend a bunch of money on an ARCA program. He's like, hey, I actually really love this and I want to invest more.
Yeah.
And I want to give more
Yeah.
people options. So I love that for him, and that's pretty awesome. So now we go to Nitro Motorsports.
Hmm.
Obviously, anywhere from a 5 to 6 car team on a given weekend, huge for the ARCA
Oh yeah.
series. Um, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, there might be, I mean, NASCAR has gone to like, hey, we wanted to go from 5 teams to 4 teams for the Cup Series. The fact we got one team, 5 or 6 cars, good or bad thing, the way you look at it. But obviously, when you have that many cars and you're committed to that many cars, it kind of gives them a little bit more of like, hey, we probably need to give someone an opportunity if we don't have the money brought in. So, where do you think? I mean, obviously, Nitro is going to be up there because they've been proven to be up there even before they took over Venturini. Will they continue that Venturini strength, or will there be some kind of like hurdles along the way?
I think with some of their newer drivers, there might be some hurdles, but I think they'll be just fine. It might take a few races to click. I mean, it's mostly the same people from Venturini, a lot of the same crew members and crew chiefs, but I think they'll be fine. I mean, we saw at Daytona, no problems there. I mean, just a
Oh
few
yeah.
mechanical gremlins with some of their cars, but that's just standard racing. I
Mhm.
think once we get to Phoenix and we really get to see what this team's made of, we'll see that they haven't lost a step. They'll be just like where Venturini was. Are they still going to be up there and running with that 18 car? Well, time will tell, as they say. Time will tell. We'll see how that goes at Phoenix, but I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. It's just some of the newer drivers that they're going to be bringing on this year. That's where the struggle might be, but that's not due to the team. That's just a new driver.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think they'll be doing great. But yeah, they definitely a new team to kind of keep an eye out for. The next one is kind of fast track, kind of going towards the end of like the ARCA season here, but fast track downsized. They had as many as like uh, 6 cars at some races, but a lot of them were start and park. And
Hmm.
now, from the conversation that I've had with Andy Hillenberg and the ones that you've had with Andy Hillenberg, it sounds like they're going more to, okay, let's just put a few cars on track. Let's just actually compete. They actually are a little bit more serious about it this time. Not that they weren't a serious team at all.
Right, right. Oh yeah,
Andy
right.
and he wants to make sure he gives those opportunities to as many drivers as possible, and he's giving
Hmm.
those our drivers as much of a chance to win as possible. But now it seems like they're kind of downsizing and kind of focusing on more of just, hey, let's get the drivers that are really good, who can bring in the funding, but also, hey, let's actually try to make this a little bit better. And I kind of like that because, hey, let's get more people, let's get more competitive teams out there because that's just going to make Arkham more interesting. So,
Right, yeah, right. And you look at Andy's last year, running 4 full-time cars. And it's just a matter of customers, and let's face it, in this modern times and modern economy and a lot of these young drivers, it's hard. It's really hard. And Andy, he had a great year in 2024. And sometimes for these teams, it does not carry over into 2025. And unfortunately, we saw that where, there was a few races where Andy brought all four cars just to start and park. And that broke my heart because I
Yeah.
know his equipment's better than that. It's decent equipment, but if the money's not there, and obviously, he's running four full-time cars because how the ARCA points money works. He kind of had to. He didn't want to break that contract because he wanted to get the owner points and be able to lock them in for this year. And I just think it was a smart move. It was a
Oh,
smart move for Andy to downsize. And you get to a point where he's been around so long, you get tired of bringing cars to the track just to start and park. And I
oh
think
yeah.
he's reached. I think he's finally reached the level where it's like, okay, you know, sometimes you hate to deny a few $1,000s, but if that's all you're going to get, then it's at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. Let's just bring the cars that we're going to run the whole race with and focus on that, put more effort into that. And, again, build that program where it's just, I would say right now, him and Maples are probably some of the more solid mid pack cars where, again, you're not going to go out there and win on a regular week, but you can get very, very solid experience.
Yes.
And so I think it's a better move for them. Yeah, in terms of car counts, it's not the best, but as they say, quality over quantity. So as long as it improves the team, I'm excited for it because Andy's been a good friend of mine for a long time, and I just want to see him succeed.
Absolutely. And I think with Maples going to more cars, Alex providing more options with the Ilmor motor, I think it's going to really help that mid-pack uh, portion of ARCA because you get to a point where it's ARCA, you got the five teams up front, and they can only
Hmm.
get so close. Well, then you need to
Yeah,
start talking about the mid-pack and the back of the pack. Well,
right.
if they're all strung out, there's nothing really to talk about there.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
we
with Mate,
struggled with that for a few years. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, and we struggled with that for a few years. But now it seems like, I mean, heck, you could say the mid pack is the most competitive part of the race most of the time.
exactly. And I think Maples, they're still growing. And I think if Fast Track is really keen about this downsizing, about focusing on really performance wise, I think it's going to be really good for the entire mid pack of
Hmm.
ARCA. And I think also with that, it's going to leave some room for the lower budget teams that are going to be kind of gobbling that up because there's only, I mean, Fast Track was that lower budget, along with Club and with Wayne Peterson, but now you kind of have a little bit of a gap there where I think you could have Wayne Peterson having two cars a race. You could have Club as a fully funded driver for most weekends too. And I think that will also create a little bit of competition in the back part of the field because it was a little bit strung out. So I think it's going to be overall really good for the overall trajectory of ARCA is looking a lot better than it looked say 4 or 5 years ago. So
Yeah, 100% agree.
yeah, and I remember I-44, they came to I-44 and there was 13 cars for a national ARCA race. And
Yeah.
now and that was like, dang, ARCA is struggling. But now it's like, dang, the I think the lowest race we had last year was like 20 something cars or
Hmm.
20 and Elko was historically one of the lowest car counts and they had 24 this last year or
Yep.
25. So that was really good. And I really like the trajectory of ARCA and the fact that we got 50 cars this last weekend is also a really good sign as well. So,
Absolutely.
um, who should, who's your most, of all those teams, and also you include other teams, what is your, what's your most, hey, you should watch out for this year? What's your kind of, oh, this is catching my eye this year?
Isabella.
Isabella? Okay.
Isabella. I think, she had a really breakout first few runs when she came onto the scene in 2024. And then, I would say, I think we can all agree she may have had a little bit of underperforming 2025 of what, personally I expected and a lot of people did. But I think she saw that, and I think she's going to come back even stronger this year. I'm confident to say that I think we will have the first female ARCA winner this year, and that's her. I mean, she has really shown like she can freaking drive. It's
Yeah.
not like, yeah, fine. She's in one of the best cars, but she can freaking drive. She's proven that. And I really think, she got a long way to claw back for the championship, unfortunately, after what happened at Daytona. But I think I would say look out for her this year. I think she's gonna have a breakout year compared to last year.
Absolutely. And I think she's going to be doing really well. And I think we're probably going to get that first female ARCA winner. But the one person I'm kind of looking out to, she's not technically an ARCA driver yet, but something really to watch out for is Jade Avedissian. Um, she has been,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, she has been doing such great things on the dirt scene and then transition to asphalt and to pick it up so fast.
Didn't she
And
win a late model race a few weeks ago?
she won at New Smyrna for the World Series.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, wow.
So she didn't win the overall World Series, but second day of the World Series in a super late model. I think it's one of her first few races in a super late model, and she went out there and won it in a 27 car field. So
Wow.
I think Jade, she's really good, and she's shown that she's good on multiple different surfaces. And Toyota has put her on some of the road course stuff as well with the GR86 car. She's also done. She won a national championship in a dirt midget, and
Oh, wow, okay.
that is, I mean, I think could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that is the first woman to win a national dirt series championship. Um, so I think she has got a great future ahead of her, and I love that Toyota is not rushing her. They are keeping her um, consistent with what she knows, getting her confidence up and up and up, and then moving her up to the next level. So I think Jade Avedissian is going to be someone to really look out for in the next few years.
I would agree. I'm personally, I'm not overly familiar with her, but yeah, no, I mean, she won. I saw that she won that late model race, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
yeah, let's like more talented female drivers. I'm all for it.
absolutely. And but yeah, she's a great look for the series, especially with what kind of happened on Saturday. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
Hmm.
But now we'll kind of go into like the Daytona weekend, the full weekend. Definitely one of the most hyped Daytona
For real.
weekends I've ever seen. NASCAR over the offseason, I gotta say, has done ever since the lawsuit ended, I think they've done such a great job on the media content. I put a post out of about a week ago um, about like they are doing such great communication on who their drivers are, um, making people excited to actually go to the races. And I'm sure you saw that one intro to the Truck Series race where it was showing like, hey, this is exciting. It was over a
Oh,
Lincoln
yeah.
Park. Yeah,
Dude,
it
like
was
what a song choice. I mean, I watched it. I'm like, dude, this is what I'm talking about. You need the energy. You need to feel it. Like this gets you pumped. And that's what we've been missing for so long because it feels so corporate. It feels almost AI, but no, that felt real. It like you hear that song and it gets into your body and it's like, yes, let's go freaking racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the whole weekend seemed like it was so like hyped up and absolutely. So it started on Wednesday. Kyle Busch wins pole, which great story there. Kyle,
So happy.
yeah, Kyle, he's been racing since like I think he was 19 um in the Cup Series and it was like, well, I mean, he was so good. And just like Earnhardt with the 20 years of trying, he's been trying for over 20 years to win the Daytona 500, won championships, won other events at Daytona, but just never got the actual Daytona 500. So for him
Hmm.
to get pole, that was really awesome. And then also Heim and Allgaier got the two locked in spots on speed. Because who would have thought otherwise? But yeah, what was your kind of reaction to Kyle Busch winning pole and all like and Heim and Allgaier getting on speed?
I was kind of shocked by that because usually it kind of became a running gag. It's like another Daytona 500 qualifying, going to be another Chevy pole like usual because it had literally been like that for quite a few years. They would share number one and two, and it's like last year we saw the Toyotas win. It's like, oh great, some new blood. So it's like, what are we going to see this year? And based off of the one practice session we had in the beginning of the day, it didn't really look like that we were going to have a Chevy pull, and Kyle just goes out there and pulls out a 48-second lap, and it's like, you know what, good for him. The guys went through so much last year. It was a really sad year. So for him to get even though it's not a race win, this is a big win for him because it's a big deal. It's not just, a random pole at a random track. It's a Daytona 500 pole. It's a big deal for his crew members, for Zone, the sponsor, even though it was one of the weirder looking Zone cars.
Yeah.
Jalapeno nicotine pouches. I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
uh, but no, I was so happy for him. He needed that shot. I literally, I tweeted out said they needed that shot in the arm. It
Oh
was a
yeah.
major confidence booster, and and Austin had a decent qualifying run as well. So it's like, good for them, good for Kyle, and the open cars. I think we could all agree was going to be either the 67, 99, or 40. Those were going to be your three probably
Mhm.
main slots for the two cars. The 67, I mean, what a lap. And man, 4/1000ths of a second separated the 40 and the 99 that close. Um, and unfortunately, it was those 4/1000ths of a second that would ultimately cost LaJoy in the end. That sucked. Um, but yeah, a great moment for RCR, exactly what the team needed. And yeah, for junior motorsports, man, they didn't have to worry about qualifying. And I would say so because, man, with how those duels went, man, who knows? Who knows if
Oh
Junior
yeah.
had made that race? I personally, in my opinion, I think they got saved by making that race on time because with how crazy those duels were, who knows?
Yeah. And who would have predicted who would have got through the duels?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
so Casey Mears and Anthony Alfredo got DQ'd, and then we got
Yeah.
BJ McLeod. So we had two of like your unlikely teams that would
Mm-hmm.
get in. Casey with MBM, which let's not forget who he went up against. He went up against LaJoy in an
Who had
RFK car.
who had all three of his RFK teammates. I mean, it could not have been any better for RFK and
Yeah.
Chandler Smith. Who he's an aggressive plate racer himself. And that they gave that 36 car everything they had in it.
Hmm.
So, and then you had MBM. It's like, yeah, they had an engine lease, but it's still or Garage 66 MBM. We got to clarify that name.
Yeah.
But they still brought their best foot forward. But you could just tell by single car speeds they were behind the eight ball.
Yeah. And I remember seeing some stuff of like, oh, if MBM gets in, it's because both of them crashed out, which kind of they did. But I mean, MBM was there, Garage 66. Sorry, I'm still going back to MBM.
Yeah, it is confusing.
Yeah, I still call it the Nationwide Series. So, I mean, it'll take
Same.
me time to get used to this. So, but yeah, it was awesome to see Casey get in. And then also just kind of seeing the feel good story of like, yeah, I want my kids to remember that I actually race, and that's awesome. Um, but then also you got to feel gutted for LaJoy, got to feel gutted for Smith. Obviously, I'm a front row guy. I'm partial to them because they've kind of helped me out a little bit here and there. But they to get Casey Mears into the race, that's pretty awesome there. So
And it's just and what a moment too. I mean, you know, they wrecked coming off of coming onto pit road. It was just the car struggled for brakes all weekend. You could clearly tell that the 66 had to have some brake issues because they were having trouble getting slowed down.
hmm
They ran into Noah Gragson. They went a lap down. But they never gave up. They were still out there. That caution came out when, Smith got involved in that accident. Casey's back on the lead lap. But, it's only a two-lap shootout. You're like, okay, all the 99 has to do is survive. And, they come to the last lap, and you can almost choreograph it seeing it coming. They were pushing way too hard, and we know what happens with these cars. But the one thing, it's not just the 99 getting pushed. And it's one thing I still don't understand. I've watched it 1,000 times the absolute run that the 66 gets on the field going into that corner. You know what I'm talking about, right? Going
yeah.
down the backstretch. The 66 just gets this monster run on the field. And it's like, whoa, I see him doing it too. And I'm like, man, if he could just get a car behind him, he could do an ultimate slingshot. And then I see them get turned and I see that blue car go sideways. And you're talking inches, millimeters that the 66 just zooms by him full send as ARCA brakes, as people like to call it, right into
Yeah.
the back of the seven. And I see him do it. And I'm like, oh, don't spin out. Hold the steady wheel. Hold the steady wheel. And he held the steady wheel. And it's like, you know what? Who cares if he got in by the other two crashing? We've seen that before. You
Yes.
know, who cares? Like, who? People just love to criticize everything. Um, what a moment, and that's why I love the duels. It's not for the big teams who win them. It's for the underdog moments. That's why the duels still mean so much to me. And seeing something like that, for Carl Long, who is scratch and clawed for everything, and to knock out the big boys, it's just you love it, man. You gotta love it, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
yeah, even though, yes, I felt bad for Corey because it's like he had it until the last half lap. You might not like Corey sometimes, but you gotta feel for him. It's like, dude, he had the perfect moment set up and it got taken. It wasn't even his fault. The crash was not even his fault. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. And it's also like, well, you got to look at it as just like a fan, like, hey, this team, four cars had it set up for them. They're right there. And then
Hmm.
this team that has one car that just showed up and is like a part-time team, they showed up and they got in, and that's pretty awesome.
Hmm.
But then at the same time, the second duel, um, Anthony Alfredo gets in, but then gets DQ'd, which
Yeah.
it was I think it was a fastener on like the transmission coolant, I think it was.
I think so. It was something like when they mentioned it, I'm like, man, I've never really heard of that. And it's like, and apparently, it was a non-appealable DQ because of how the duels work. If it was a normal weekend, they probably
Mhm.
could have. I think they said they could have appealed it. And the worst part is that was completely out of Anthony's control. Like that
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
even his fault, and it really wasn't even, as far as some people were saying, it wasn't even a performance advantage. It was just a simple rule that unfortunately they broke, and there was no appealing it. And it's like that's rough, man, because you
Yeah.
saw the emotion of him. And I think the saddest reality is he posted a "We're in the 500" video to his Twitter. 2 minutes later, they post he's DQ'd. I mean, oh boy, you talk about bad timing. But
Yeah.
you know what? And BJ McLeod gets in, one of the most likable guys in the garage. You will never find anyone who's got a bad thing to say about him. He's a freaking built like a tank, so like you're not gonna mess with him. I love the guy. He's just NASCAR's Ozzy Osbourne, in my opinion. Um, you gotta love it. Two
Yeah.
independent teams, and people are like, oh, BJ got rich off that charter sale. It's like, fine, $11 million. I don't think people realize $11 million in the NASCAR Cup Series business really is not that much money.
No. No,
It
not at all.
really is not. He is still one of the smaller teams. Because
Yeah.
if he was big money, well, he'd be a little bit higher in the pack, running more often. No, he still is unsponsored. He still is running at the back of the field. They're doing his best. So I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, he's not a low budget team. Like, no, yeah, he is. All right,
Yeah.
yeah, he is. And but yeah, so you felt bad for Anthony, but BJ making the race, it's like, you know what, I can still get on board with this because it's another great story, and you got to love that. Two non-factory teams, they leased engines, but they're not factory. No factory support from any other organizations. They just showed up with what they had, and they're in the Great American Race. And like I said, just like with Casey, that's what the duels are all about. And for the first time in a long time, because we used to see it a lot in the '90s and 2000s, an unsponsored car shows up, they make the race. Come Sunday, that car's got a full list of sponsors on it.
Absolutely. Hey, and that was the cool thing because you saw it happening on
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, oh, this car is in the Great American Race. And it's going to be seen by millions of people because
Yep.
they're going to talk about it on the live broadcast.
Oh yeah.
So get your name on this car. And you saw it happening like on Facebook with people sharing it, like, hey, let's get people on this car. And they sold the sponsorship. And that was awesome to see because it's like, dang, now BJ is going to go run Atlanta because he's got that money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. But yeah, getting over the duels, now we go to Friday. We got the Truck
Yeah.
Series. Definitely probably one of the more hyped races of the weekend. Um,
44 trucks. I mean, wow. We only had 38 last year. It's like I couldn't believe how many trucks entered. It's like what a step up for the series. And
yes.
a lot of people talk about the truck series dying on the vine. I'm not gonna lie, it was a tough year last year for truck counts, a lot
Yep.
of non-full fields. We even saw the starting parks returning. But man, a great shot in the arm to see 44 trucks out here. And and fast forward to Atlanta, that's a full field too, and that's what I like to see. Even if we don't
Yeah.
have DNQs, full fields, but 44 trucks, and it's like, man, all the underdogs were up against the 8 ball, and unfortunately, we saw in qualifying, pretty much I think all but maybe one or two underdogs unfortunately made the race, and the rest went home.
Yeah. And then also, something I've been harping on for years, and something I want to kind of see if you agree with me on this one,
Sure.
as someone is a member of the sport. We give all these provisionals to Ram, like so that they can get into the race. We get a
Yeah.
potential of having 40 trucks. I have been saying for a while, if ARCA can have 40 cars racing with a lot of people that have never run on a super speedway, why can we not have 40 trucks run on a race? Why do we need to limit the field to 36 whenever we can have 40 that could have fun? Now, I'm not saying for short tracks we
Hmm.
should have 40 trucks. I'm thinking if we have a race and it's over a mile and a quarter, let's go ahead and allow 40 trucks to go out there, or at least 38. What are your thoughts on that? Like, I think we should have 40 trucks should be allowed to go race at Daytona, in my opinion.
And I know I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's just unfortunately that decision's not up to us. It's just a matter of the
Yeah.
TV partners and Craftsman's. They got their set purse at 36 trucks, and we've it's kind of a running gag on X when Bob Pockris posts the payouts. Cup big money, O'Reilly's okay money, Truck Series. Where's the money? Yeah, I mean, so it makes sense, and that I feel like going to 40 trucks almost would be a mistake because then you got to spread the purse money out that little bit less. So I can see your point of yes, we get more trucks on the track, but it would mean even less money. And trust me, some of these Daytona payouts, I think last place paid 13 grand. I think the winner maybe got around just over 60, 50 or 60. And it's like, man, if we took away that a little bit more, I don't really like that. But I'm all for more trucks. I will say I'm
Yeah.
all for more trucks racing. But in terms of the provisional, no, I don't like that, man. They didn't do that for Toyota when they came in
Yeah.
2007. And so it's like, and Minnie Tyrell, I think he would have missed the race because he had to take the provisional. And you know what? I hate saying it. So be it. It's like, that's not Minnie's fault. But if they couldn't make a truck to make the race, I'm sorry, dude. You're going home. And it
Yeah.
would have, I mean, thank God they had the provisional. Like, dude, can you imagine the winner of Race for the Seat missing the first race? That would have been
Yeah.
a terrible look.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
But
get it, but yeah.
yeah, exactly. But also the thing is, I think the truck purse, um, I mean, I don't know how much the last place got. I mean, you definitely have a little bit more insight than I do, but I'm pretty sure the truck purse nowadays is like almost twice as what it was like back when they were releasing the payouts. And I think it is, wouldn't that still give the lower teams like, because it used to be about um 8, 9,000 for 36th. Wouldn't that give them about 16,000, and the first place would get about, I'd say about 100,000, if we're going by multiples of two, for what
Hmm.
it was back in 2015. Is it true that it's only about 13,000 to start?
Yeah, I actually, a friend, well, I won't name because I don't want to get him in trouble, but he actually did send me the payout sheet. So it was a little over $13,000 for last place.
God damn. Gotta hate
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
It's
okay. So
yeah.
that changes my opinion a little bit, but I definitely think at the same time we definitely need more money down in the truck
Oh,
series.
100%. Yeah. I mean, a Craftsman, they put in what they put in, but I wish they would step it up just a little bit so that way we could get more money, to these teams weekly because, that's what a lot of them, survive off of. That's how they, set their tire budgets and stuff. But, it is what it is. And so, we did have a few good stories. Clay Greenfield, one of my favorite underdogs, GK
Yes.
Racing, didn't really show up a few times a year, but he comes out swinging. And even though the truck was ill handling all night, still mastered a top 20. But just seeing a team like that, like I said, a lot of the underdogs missed the race, but at least we had a few good stories in the field. Obviously. I'm a Travis Pastrana mark like there's no tomorrow. I freaking love that guy. So seeing
Oh
him in the
yeah.
race was awesome. Tony Stewart, I'll be honest, was never a Tony Stewart fan, so I'm happy to see him come back, but I was never a big fan of his. So it was good for the sport, good for entertainment because he gave a Tony Stewart interview in the media center, which is always entertaining.
Oh yeah.
And Cletus McFarland, we'll get to him in a second, but just this was a truck race where I have not felt this much hype, this much energy for a truck race in a long, probably the first Eldora race.
Yep.
For me, that's how long it's been since I felt this amped about a truck race was that first Eldora race. And, unfortunately, it kind of went off the rails. Um, and I have some strong opinions. We need to get Jamie Little in a position where she can succeed, get her back to pit reporting where she is actually good at her job. And that's the thing, like nobody hates Jamie Little.
No,
They just
she's
don't like the
great.
position she's in.
Yes, it it's watching that race like towards the end when Chandler Smith wins a race.
Yeah,
And
you heard the call. It was terrible.
like it was like, okay, Jamie is a great reporter.
Yes.
But it was just she cannot get excited. And
No,
like we love Jamie. I love Jamie Little in
absolutely.
pit
Nobody's
stops.
got to, yeah. The
Yeah.
people who just say she sucks and I'm like, no, no, she doesn't. I've watched
Yeah.
her since her ESPN days. She's a fantastic pit reporter. That's what we know her as. That's what we love her as.
Yeah.
She's been in this commentating gig for a few years now, and she has shown little to no improvement. And then when there's no energy from the lead commentator, it feeds to the other commentators. And that's why
Yes.
it feels so monotone. That's why I cannot wait for Eric Brennan to come aboard. But it's
Yeah.
just, again, it's the broadcast. I've said it for so long. The truck
Yes.
series is actually really good. It's the broadcast that makes it look like a crap series. It's not. It's actually Trucks is doing really good right now. I really would say they are. It's
Yeah.
just Fox is doing them no favors.
And the thing is, it's not just the truck broadcast. You go and watch like NASCAR races today,
Yeah,
and it's it's like, oh, this is interesting. This is cool. This is a good series. And then you go and watch 2005, and you're like, oh my God, yeah,
that's the other problem.
I I know why this series was so popular in
Yeah,
2005. It
everything
was
is just awesome.
Yes, it was amazing. The quality was great. They were constantly talking about something new. They were constantly talking about the drivers themselves.
Yep.
And that's gone now. But the thing is, they're bringing it back. And I love that NASCAR is doing
Yeah.
that. And it's making stuff more interesting. Now we just need to fix the broadcasts. So,
Yeah.
and I
And,
think
and, and,
we're
and
slowly doing that.
I thought the racing was good. And, we'll get into Cletus McFarland. And first off, I'll say is I love his personality. I think he fits your stereotypical NASCAR fan to a T, and I love it. The guy's a decent, well, more than decent. He's a heck of a driver. He can drive pretty much anything. But I don't I don't put the blame on him. I think, Door Bumper Clear said it best. It's not his fault. NASCAR saw the TV ratings. They saw the dollar signs that he could bring in. And he did. He brought in a lot. But the problem is you threw him to the wolves. He
Yes.
was not ready for this. And
Yep.
we'll talk about that because his ARCA performance showed he can do this. He just needs time. You throw him to the wolves, and many drivers will say the trucks are the most unstable vehicles to drive at Daytona. He only got 2 laps of practice. They were in no drafting. He was by himself. It wasn't really his fault either. They had issues in tech. But like everything about this, I almost feel like was setting him up for failure.
Yeah.
I was almost waiting for him to crash, and I hate saying that, but I had this nerve. It's like, man, he's not ready. I know he's not ready. I want him to succeed. I want him to succeed so badly. I want him and Travis to have a Ricky Bobby and Cal Naughton moment. But you just know, like, that's probably not going to happen. In the Rockingham test, why they chose Rockingham to test for Daytona doesn't really make sense to me. But
Yep.
again, they just doing what they did there, and he wrecks in 5 laps. And granted, he made a classic rookie mistake. Jake Garcia did the exact same thing. It's just you come off of turn 4, the air sucks you around, you overcorrect to the right, and then you turn back left and you go right into the wall. It's happened 1,000 times now that Daytona's aged. It's just a bad look because it could have been avoidable. It's not his fault. I don't blame him for it. I blame the approval process. The approval process, as we'll get to, in the O'Reilly's race, it is broken. Let's face it, it is 100% broken.
Yeah.
But
but I hate that Cletus took so much of the fall, and you could just see it in his interview. Man, he looked so defeated, and I felt bad for him.
Oh yeah, and you heard like so the ARCA race the next day, he was like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, I want to make these moves, but I don't want to be the idiot like I was last night." And
Hmm.
it was like, "Dang, we lost the fire a little bit because
You
now."
you could yeah, you could tell. You could tell.
Yeah, and the thing is, what the whole thing about him racing the truck, while I was so excited because you
Hmm.
love to see the
Yeah.
interaction he gets. You love to see it. But the thing was, it was like, why is he racing Daytona? Because
Hmm.
every other driver who's gone from ARCA to trucks has had to run a race a mile or less. Then they get approved for intermediates, then they get approved for super speedways. That's always been the process, unless you show out in the ARCA series. He's
Yeah.
not shown out in the ARCA series
Yeah,
whatsoever.
I mean, he had that first start at Daytona last year. He didn't really get a chance to get out of the box. That was out of his control.
Yeah,
And granted, he did fine at Talladega, but that was almost a year ago.
yeah,
That was almost a year ago. And then you look at Charlotte, other than the restart fiasco, which again, yeah, you could say it was his fault, but his crew should not have put him in that position. It was just he was out of the car too long. That
yeah,
was another thing for me too. And then he got some laps in the test, but that was the ARCA car. I mean, he's used to the ARCA car now. Like I say, he only got 2 laps in the truck. I know Mike Ship was a great crew chief, but like the crew chief can only do so much for an inexperienced driver. The number one thing that they should have had him do, it's what they did for Travis. They should have had him drop to the rear and ride. I understand he's not going to learn much, but that's what they should have done.
yes,
And you could even see in those first, um, sorry, spitting, um, those first few laps, he's all over the place. He
yeah,
can't hold his line, and I'm like, oh god, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and then it happened. I knew it was gonna. You could see it was gonna happen. He was just
yeah.
all over the place because
And
these trucks. Yeah, keep going.
yeah, and Tony Breidinger last year, you kind of saw it because
Yeah.
I focus on Tony Breidinger because my sister absolutely loves her. But
Hmm.
you kind of saw her get squirrely. She wrecked, but then she worked her way up in a wrecked truck from the back. And it's like, dang, if if Cletus did that, that'd be awesome. But
Oh
he
yeah,
qualified 12th, and I'm like,
I
awesome.
was really concerned about that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like awesome. He qualified 12th. Now he's gonna be
but
in the pack of wolves. Like, what are we
yeah.
doing here?
Hmm.
So yeah, that was kind of yeah, all of that, and we didn't even touch on Chandler Smith actually winning the race. Um,
Yeah, and then we'll get to him in a second. But then Tony Stewart, man, it just felt like an anticlimactic return. It wasn't his fault. Jake again, a very experienced driver. He did the exact same thing that Cletus did. So it's not even really due to. It is somewhat inexperienced, but at the same time, it's just
it's Daytona.
it's Daytona. It's getting wore out, which I love. Hopefully, means we'll get some old Daytona vibes coming back. It's
Exactly.
turn 4 at Daytona, and Tony was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So they went ahead and retired the truck. Um, and it was a really great finish shaping up. I thought John Hunter Nemechek, that truck could push. That truck was a pusher for the entire race, made the move, but he did the classic thing I've seen so many times. He got too far out front. Got way
Yep.
too far out front in turns 3 and 4. I saw it coming, but I would not have predicted that Chandler Smith was going to be the truck that took over. Although I will say this, and I'm sure you saw too, if John had stayed on the bottom,
Yep.
Chandler would have pushed him right to the win. It was that move. What a move. It reminded me almost of James Busher because Chandler Smith coming off of that turn 4, no chance.
Yeah.
And yet there he is at the win. It was almost like a Jack Sprague Travis Quaffle moment from 2007, where it's like, oh, these guys are going to win. Oh, here comes Chandler Smith, and he steals it. It's like, yes. And yeah, did they crash after the race or not? I can't
I
remember.
don't think so. I don't think so. Could be
And
wrong
that's
though.
what I like. Sometimes we get so many crashes at the flag. We saw it in the 500, but getting a great finish where we also don't really crash, it's fun. So, like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not, Chandler Smith's not my personal favorite. I know I know how you feel about him, but I can honestly say at the same time, hell of a move. And he
Yes.
earned that win. So, and good for him. And I'm happy for Bob Jenkins. I love Front Row Motorsports, so I'm happy for them to get a win. at the end of the day. And man, it's just for so much hype with what happened with Cletus, which again was not his fault. Unfortunately, Tony going out early. Travis, Travis was just kind of there. I didn't expect him to race hard. He got a top 15. He was just out there for fun. Um,
Which is, you
I
see that
thought it
every
could,
time.
yeah, yeah,
Travis, while he is a thrill-seeking junkie, and you can see it, and it's amazing, and he's just doing crazy stuff, he knows when he gets to NASCAR, hey, I've got to respect this sport, and I've
yeah,
got to actually not ruin other people for the thrill of it. I've got to actually go through and like be calm about this and take my time, which
yeah,
you don't see that a lot with like these people that come in like Cletus, but
yeah.
Travis has had a lot more experience than Cletus,
Yeah,
a lot more
it'll
up and
come with
running.
experience. Yeah, but I just
So,
what my point I was trying to make is just for as much hype as this broadcast had, man, I just felt like it really was gone by the end, and it's just.
yeah,
I don't blame the series for that. I just blame the lackluster broadcast, the bad commentary, and not to mention most of the superstars, getting eliminated
yes,
early. And
exactly.
it's just, it was what it was, but still, fun way to start the Truck Series season. I think it's really wide open, with Tricon's team. I mean, without Corey Heim in the field, it's wide open now.
So I definitely think we've got. What are your predictions for Truck Series? Are you thinking who do you think is going to win the championship? Just
Lane rigs.
Yep, I'm with you. Lane showed that hey, like no matter what system it was, if Corey Heim was not in the Truck Series, he's going to win the championship.
Hmm.
So, and I think the emphasis on wins, while Majeski's going to be really good,
Oh,
I
yeah.
do not think he can close out the deals like Lane Riggs can.
Consistency. Yeah.
Yes.
Lane has that consistency where, Ty, we've kind of seen it. He can be consistent, but also, you know, can also be kind of iffy sometimes where, maybe they just miss it or a crash. But Lane, even when he crashes, I feel like he still somehow manages a somewhat decent day out of it. So I think he is my championship favorite, but I just feel like it's also wide open at the end of the day. Who knows what Chandler could do? Who knows what Majeski could do? And God, it's going to take some getting used to seeing him in the Menards truck. That, I mean, man, I thought O'Reilly's was going to be something hard to adjust to from Xfinity.
Yes.
Seeing, and it doesn't help that it's the exact same scheme. It's
Color.
just
Yep.
plain yellow, plain same everything. You would think, oh, that's Metcalf. Nope, Ty Majeski. I'm going to get that tongue twisted so bad this year. But yeah, I think it's going to come down. I would say Majeski or Lane Riggs are the two favorites, I would say.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Lane.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's for both of them with Front Row Motorsports. I have a connection there, so it's like, oh, I gotta cheer for Lane Riggs. But at the
Right, right.
same time, Majeski uses the same motors I use on the late model side. So that I went
Hmm.
back there to get my motor last weekend and or last week, and we're talking about Ty Majeski, and well, like I'm going down. Hopefully to the Rattler again. Hopefully to the Rattler,
Right.
and Ty Majeski's going to be there. So that's awesome. But either way, I'm going to be happy if either one wins. But obviously, seeing
Oh yeah.
Front Row with the lawsuit, I want to see Front Row win. But let's go ahead and kind of move on here.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Almost running out of time. But
Yeah, we
let's
can
go over
fast forward today.
Saturday. We got the ARCA race. We got Mini Tyrell with Big, sorry, the crew member.
We
But that
love you,
was
Sean.
awesome. Yes, we love Big. Every time I see Big in the garage area, I'm just like, yes, yes. Love to see a guy going after it. But yeah, it
For the
was good to
people who
see.
don't know who we're talking about, Big is the little person that you saw changing tires on the 17. You saw him on the broadcast. His name is Sean in real life. We love him. Everyone in the garage loves him. He
Yes,
kicks ass. So that's who we're talking about. For the people who are watching us who might not know who he is a little person crew member, and he is a complete freaking badass. Everybody
yes,
loves him.
yes,
And
exactly.
speaking of Mini Tyrell, it's kind of interesting. So they had the Ram sponsorship on the car, the race for the seat deal, and we don't have any Ram bodywork, so we had the Ram Chevy or the Cham or whatever you want to call it. They had to blacken out the Chevy decals, um, because we've seen that happen before with Arca, but I found that so freaking hilarious.
Yes, gotta love it. But yeah, so. it was a good weekend for a lot of like underfunded or under the radar drivers. We got Glenn Reen. If I'm saying
Love
that
Glenn.
name wrong, I
Love
apologize.
Glenn. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So he got a top five, which Glenn,
Mm-hmm.
you don't see him race a whole lot. And to get a top five in ARCA at Daytona, that's pretty damn cool.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Dale Earnhardt in the can't remember what integrity sport now.
No, that's the Rise Racing Team Integrity. It was Tim's former former wife's now new team.
Gotcha,
Um,
gotcha. So
but
we
yeah,
got
and,
Rise
yeah,
Racing. Rise
Rise
Racing
Racing.
with
Yep.
Bobby Dale, top 10. Both the Maples cars that made the race, top tens. That was awesome to see as well. So that was a good race there.
Mm-hmm.
And to see Jake Bowman come in second, he is now really your full-time point leader.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most people would say, "Who's Jake Bowman?" And I'd
Yeah.
kind of say the same thing before yesterday, or not yesterday, but before Saturday. So Jake Bowman is now pretty much our points leader. And
Mm-hmm.
the next person closest to him, really, is Jason Kitzmiller in his own car. And then Maples, and then Bobby Dale Earnhardt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much it's going to take Isabella and Thomas Annunziata a little bit to catch back
Yeah, I
up.
mean these first three I would say your championship. I hate saying it because these sometimes ARCA car counts can dictate it a lot, but these first three races, because I would say we're expecting 40 cars in almost every race at Phoenix and Talladega. That's where your championship's really going to be. I don't want to say decided, but that's where it could be won and could be lost because that was what happened to
Yes.
Isabella last year. So there's still time for her to recover because something could easily happen to Jake at Phoenix and Talladega. But yeah, it's definitely going to take them some time to recover. And and shout out to Bobby Dale. That was the former Dale Quarterly car, so that was a really really fast car. And people can say they feed off the Earnhardt nostalgia. He's an Earnhardt. Let him do what he
Yes.
wants.
100%. He's an
We
Earnhardt
ran,
racing at
yeah,
Daytona.
yeah. He ran a Rolex throwback at the test, which was awesome, and he ran a picture perfect, Earnhardt throwback. I just wish he would have went 83. So we got the 8 and then the 3.
Yes.
Beggars can't be choosers. Maybe there were some legal reasons why they couldn't do that. But yeah, and after let's face it, I love the series. I'm wearing the series shirt, and I'm man enough to say last year's race was a disaster.
Oh
We
yeah.
crashed half the field, not even halfway into the race. It was terrible. It was, and I'm not afraid to admit, when the series has a bad race. So I'm like, man, let's have a good one for the show. And I know the ARCA package is not perfect by any means. No super speedway package at this stage in the game is perfect. But they went out there and they had a good race, side by side action, comers and goers. Like that's what you want to see. People really going out there and racing. We didn't have any abnormally big crashes. Really didn't, which was actually kind of surprising. I think the biggest crash was only maybe two or three cars. When Ali Owens lost an oil line, we'll get to that in a second. But it was a very, very solid race. And yeah, the 18 car won. I don't care about that. I'm glad we just got a good race. Um, but yeah, it was, and I felt bad for Isabella Robusto, transmission issues. Again, not her fault. Mechanical gremlins. Um, it was, it's just like one by one, the nitro cars were falling. It actually got kind of funny by the end. Like the 90 went out, then the 55 went out, then the 70 went out, then the 15 and 25 went out, and the 20 was the lone soldier. It was actually kind of getting funny by the end. But it was a good race. It was really fun to watch. Yeah, the 18 won, but what do you expect? It even next to the nitro cars, it is the best prep car in the garage. All right,
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
So if it winning is not shocking. I wish Gio would have showed a little bit more emotion, but eh, that's what happens with some of these young kids. Sometimes they just don't show a whole lot of personality, which I'm not afraid to call out. I got more personality in my pinky than some of these drivers have in their whole body. That's one thing I love about myself. I'm a very flamboyant person. Um,
Love
you
that.
know, yeah. So, but I was very proud of everyone. I was proud of the race, um, and I think ARCA can really hold its head high about that. And I just want to give a shout out for we talk about women racers. You mentioned Jade, I mentioned Isabella, Allie Owens,
Yep.
who has not been in an ARCA car since the Gen 4 days,
Yep.
well over 10 years ago, comes in here, makes the race. Her teammate missed the race. I mean, she had to make the race on time. And it's like, for a certain someone who we'll talk about, this girl gets right up there and she's battling for top 10. She's right up there, man. She's like, I ain't gonna ride around. I didn't come back to ride 25th. I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna do my best. Shout out to Allie Owens, man. I was so proud of her. And I love the Kimmels so much too. And they didn't blow an engine, they lost an oil line. And
Yeah.
there was nothing she could do. There was absolutely nothing she could do. Oil on the tires. It's actually a miracle it didn't take out more cars. But man, that broke my heart because she was doing so freaking good.
All right. So now we go to the O'Reilly Auto Parts series, which really felt like it was the most
Yeah,
underappreciated
yeah,
race of
we
the
talked
weekend.
about that. It just didn't really have much hype to it, and like I said, I mean, you look at the field, only four cars went home, and it's just that you didn't really have any big superstars. It's just, and maybe that's one of the one things I've been saying about the O'Reilly series. There's no new like stars. We have the
Yep.
established names like a Justin Allgaier and a Brandon Jones, but there's no real new stars into the series, and I feel like that's really starting to hurt this, almost starting to hurt the series in a bit. But you had four cars, a few of the Gase, it was a rough day for Joey Gase. We'll get to that in a second. But two of his cars missed the race, as does Greenlight missed the race. And oh God, Anthony Alfredo, God, someone give this guy a hug. So he misses
Yep.
the race in the new '96 car. They had the six-figure deal with Alpha Prime Racing to drive the four, so at least he got to start the race. But man, you talk about a tough deal, and you get to the race, and it's like, I don't know what RCR has figured out, but these cars can freaking tow to the point
Yes.
where they get to them and they just stall out. I don't know what they have figured out ahead of even Junior Motorsports, but and I really don't think it's Justin Allgaier, Austin Hill and Jesse Love. It's the cars. Those cars can tow, and what I mean by that is they can pull, and it's
Yeah.
so hard to get them. They can just pull the field around the track, and that's what Austin Hill is so good at. I'm not saying that Austin Hill's not talented. He's doing something right out there, but it's just that car can tow so good. And then they just give it to him. I mean, I made a joke about it on my social media. They literally do everything they can to make sure the RCR cars can win. It's
Yep.
comical to me.
Yes, 100%. It was like, again, it was like back in 2018 when they first came out with the 550 horsepower package, and you saw Kevin Harvick trying to run down Joey Logano at Kansas.
Yeah,
It felt like that for there was that for 30 laps. It
yeah,
felt like this for the whole race. It's like, can you guys just work together to get around him? Like,
yeah,
just get rid of the guy. I mean,
yeah,
honestly, because Austin Hill, he'll complain about it because he's like,
yeah.
why are they all ganging up on me? But you just get around the guy, get him out of there, and then race among yourself after he's out.
Yeah, I mean,
But
you look at that last lap. I mean, look at the last lap. They literally did everything they could. Brennan Poole. Now, granted, I think he had some tape on the bumper, so Allgaier couldn't help it. But like, they had the run. Poole gets loose. Here comes Allgaier. He gets out of the way. Anderson, he just pushes him. And then it's like they try to back up almost to get the run, but then they backed up too far. That car, again, Eckart's gone. And
yeah,
he just wins the race. And it's just like, oh, I mean, the moment of the race was, Decker. And I don't know what your thoughts are on about that. We won't spend too much time on it, but I've got my reservations about Decker. People can say what they want about some females in motorsports. I'm all for female race car drivers, but if you've been around as long as she has and not really shown as much improvement, maybe you got to look at different adventures. That's just my personal opinion. I'm all for female race. I want to make that perfectly clear. I will praise Jade, praise Allie, praise Isabella, but we also got to be fair. And Natalie Decker has not shown really anything. And
yeah,
I think it's either, it's put up or shut up time, step it up or, move on.
yeah.
Move on. I don't
It
know.
it seems like every race she gets into, there's an issue where it's debating whether or not she's good enough to even compete. And it's like, why
Yeah.
are we having this discussion? And
Mm-hmm.
also, you saw some of the other social media that came out in the weekend. It's just like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
why
Oh
is
God.
she,
We better not get into that.
yeah, it's like, why is she racing? Okay. Cool. Why? Just yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's just better to move past that. Let's get to the 500, you know.
yeah, exactly.
I'm
So
amped for this. You know,
going,
yeah, we'll kind of fast forward through it because I know we don't have a lot of time left. We'll just start off the beginning, man. The underdogs wreck early. Oh God, BJ
yes.
burns up a rear hub. Nothing he can do. Car breaks loose, almost takes out the 45, which
Yep.
thank God he didn't. And then the 66 gets involved. Hurts the front nose. So it's like the two good stories, get knocked out. And, I'll give my brief thoughts about it. I actually heavily enjoyed the race. I
Oh yeah.
understand the fuel saving sucks. It does. It did
Yes.
get embarrassing there when we were only going 170, and the freaking modified of Austin Dillon could keep up in the lead pack. That's where a guy like, oh, okay, guys, let's pick
Let's
it up
go.
here.
Yep. Yeah.
But overall, I enjoyed the race. And I think these drivers have figured out this car enough where when they're going, full song, no fuel save with this car, it's actually not that bad. It really, I don't think the package is as bad as people say it is. It's just
It's just
when the
fuel
fuel
saving.
saving comes.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
The fuel
yeah,
saving just needs to go.
yeah.
And let's get rid of stages so then they don't fuel
Yeah,
save all the
because I'm
time.
just get rid of keep the points. Just get rid of the cautions. I'm
Yes.
so tired of it. It is so tiring because it's like, oh, the drivers like it. I understand that drivers might like the break, they might like the sponsor break, but yeah, I don't have time for that rant. But
Yeah.
last lap, props to NASCAR for not throwing the yellow. They easily could have. The
Oh
turn one
yeah.
crash was actually a lot bigger than I realized because they didn't bother to show a replay. It was actually a really big pile up. Poor
Hmm.
Carson Hocevar. Um, you know, Chase Elliott looked like he had it. Tyler Reddick comes around, he gets the lead. Brad looks like he's going to have another run coming. Something happens with Riley Herbst. And how about that, man? 23-11 Racing. As we mentioned at the start of the show, the two teams who were suing NASCAR won the truck race and won the Daytona 500. So how about that? So,
And
yeah,
the sweep of the stages was front
yeah,
row.
that too.
And so not only
Yeah,
did NASCAR have to write a 325 or $54 million check to these teams, they also had to write a 3 million or $3.5 million check to the winner,
yeah,
which was Michael Jordan. So,
yeah.
and the video of Jim France like shaking hands with Michael
You
Jordan
can
after
almost
the
see it in
win.
his face. He's like, yes, you're welcome.
But I felt like honestly, that was just kind of like a hey, like we we were enemies when it came to this lawsuit, but let's move it
Yeah,
forward.
that too. It is time
And
to move on.
yeah, and so not only was it kind of like a oh, like screw you, but also it was like, okay, let's all work together. So that
Yeah,
and I felt like that was kind of the solidifying moment. So, but yeah,
yeah.
it
But
was
otherwise, a very successful speed weeks. I didn't really think any of the races were particularly bad. And NASCAR's here, man. Despite the tragic losses we went through in the offseason, I'm amped for the season. I didn't give my O'Reilly's picks. I'll go with Justin Allgaier for another championship there, and I'll just throw it out there. I think a Chris Buescher is a good underdog pick for the championship this year.
really okay.
Hmm.
All right. I dig it. I did not expect that whatsoever, but I dig it. I definitely think it's probably going to be, I think it's going to be Kyle Larson getting another championship.
I could see that too, especially with the points format.
Yes, 100%. But on the O'Reilly side, I'm kind of, I think I said Allgaier a couple weeks ago, but I,
Yeah, I just think Allgaier is the best choice. He knows how to points race because he did it. He
yep,
did this system before it was winning you're in. And with all the rookies, I think he's going to win the champion. I wouldn't be shocked if he wins the championship before the season ends.
absolutely. All right. Well, that's
Yeah.
all the time we got this week.
Oh man. Oh well.
No worries. But hey, y'all have a great rest of your weeks, and we'll see
Yes.
you next week. Got an awesome guest that we're going to announce soon here, but everyone have a great week, and thank you for coming on, Colby.
No problem. Thank you very much, man.
All right, take care.